These guys are throwing everything out, and this thing is here. Throwing it in, one piece at a time. Hey everyone, this project is pretty gross. I found this chest of drawers literally seconds before these guys were throwing it in a garbage truck. I asked if I could take it. They said sure, but this would be coming from an infested bedbugs apartment. I thought about it for a couple seconds, but said sure, I'll take it.
That is a dead bedbug. Nasty. And I think that's a pill.
After throwing it in my truck, I sprayed it, wrapped it for about a week, and left it outside during some hot days, and I also kept it wrapped for another week. I don't know much about the history of this piece. My guess is it's over 100 years old, and it's Canadian made likely. It's in pretty gross condition. This paint is ugly, this top is warped, and it's just filthy. I have a pretty fun idea for this piece, and I hope we can make it work. But that's where the sponsor for the video comes in. This video is sponsored by Creality, the Falcon 2, and I'm using this laser in this video, and I can't wait to share what I do. Well, after tarping this piece for a couple weeks, I got this diatomaceous earth spray. I wanted to spray in all the cracks, so I did a pretty good spray on this piece in all the tiny cracks, and I left it for another couple days. I only found 2 dead bugs. I didn't find any live ones, so I think that's good, right? You can actually see the diatomaceous earth spray. It's that white stuff. It's like a powdery sand that apparently is good for getting rid of them. Because this is likely the dirtiest piece I've ever worked on, I sprayed this and cleaned this piece like no other.
This is the top. This is how it's connected. There's screws underneath this paint. There's 3 of them, so we're going to remove them, and we're going to remove this top.
If you're looking for help on your project, or you just want to join a close-knit community, make sure to check out the Furniture Squad. It's a great place to share your projects and help each other out.
We're going to screw right here still. Just look at how warped it is.
Here I'm testing the paint for lead. It would turn purple if there was lead detected. Just look at the filth on this piece. I wanted to remove all these bottom panels. They were glued, but I just wanted to get into those deep cracks to make sure there was nothing in there. I tested stripper. It did an okay job, but not what I wanted, so I decided to move on with my scraper. Was it a good idea? I don't know. And I know these comments will haunt me in in the comments. And this is from one drawer. And that's from drawer number 2. I usually save and try to keep what I can with old antique pieces, but I have a pretty cool design in mind, so I'm removing this trim piece completely. Right now, I'm just hoping this design plan works out in the end. At this point, I decided I'll scrape what I can, and I'll be back with 80 grit sandpaper. Sanding with the 80 grit sanding mesh worked pretty well. It just was a bit of a time-consuming process. It's starting to look like the paint is all gone. But don't worry, there's tons more to pick away. Oh yeah, and the complete other side. But I'll speed the process up a bit. This kind of broke my heart, but it's not part of the design, so it must go. I'm sorry. I'm using Bondo filler to fill in the keyholes. This stuff dries fast and I find it sands really easily, so that's why I like to use it. Also, it doesn't shrink or expand, so it's perfect for under veneer. And there you go, that's your first design hint. But trust me, this will be no ordinary veneering job. This drawer was a little wonky. I tried a few different methods for bending it or shaping it back to normal. It still has a little bit of a bend in it, but it fits in the drawer nicer than it did. This is one of the many paint picking sessions I had on this piece. I decided just to scuff sand the back. It was rough wood, so it would take forever to remove the paint. I'm just going to paint it over later. The drawer divider rails had nails on the sides of them. I just poked them down and I'll fill them so the metal wasn't exposed. One of the back legs was previously snapped off and filled. It was glued on there pretty good still. I'm just picking away as much paint as possible and I'm going to fill it with this 2-part wood epoxy. One of the drawer divider rails had some missing wood. I just filled it in with wood epoxy as well. Then I went around with regular walnut wood filler and just filled in any tiny cracks and chips throughout. This is the Creality Falcon 2. It is the 40-watt laser. I use my computer here, connects to the laser, and I have a fan blowing any smoke outside. I'm thankful Creality sent me the laser. They are the sponsor of today's video, and we are going to be cutting out basically 90 squares of walnut veneer and walnut burl veneer. Along with the fan noise, there's actually an air assist in the laser. It shoots out air alongside the laser, and that blows any dust and debris away from your laser for a cleaner cut. So those are regular walnut veneer sheets, and these are burl walnut veneer sheets. And I bought 30 packs of each, and we have a lot to cut up. The process is really easy. You just make sure you turn your key on and you use Lightburn software and you frame the area and then you click start. Framing actually just goes around the edges to make sure it just shows you where it's going to be cutting, and then starting it actually starts your cut. It's pretty awesome to get to use a laser to cut up unique designs that we can incorporate into our furniture projects. I think this is really going to change how I do some projects in the future.
So my plan is to just use my hands, obviously, to put these tight together, and then I'll tape them so I know they are in the position that I want them and there's no crazy gaps between. And it should work out, so let's hope for the best.
If you haven't pieced it together yet, I'm making a checkered pattern with this walnut and walnut burl, and I think it's going to look really cool on the drawers, and I'm also going to have it on the recessed side panels.
Just to see what we are starting with. It looks pretty good.
The taping process is working well, but it is certainly a long process, so lots of squares to tape up. And that's one drawer of 3. Before any gluing, I just take a tack cloth and clean up any dust I find, and then we can get started with the gluing. And I'm just using Titebond 2, and I'm putting glue on both sides. I started with the chip brush. It didn't work that well, so I started using this scraper and just basically throwing the glue everywhere, and it worked pretty good. And I'll do it on the veneer and on the drawer face. I'm just throwing the veneer on and clamping it down as best as I can. Ideally, a vacuum press would be the way to go, but I don't have one, so we are DIYing this and hoping that this is going to work out. And after looking at it, the veneer wasn't straight, so I had to go back and just rearrange it a bit to make sure it was lined up how I wanted it. And then I had to continue on with drawer 2, 3, and also 4 of the side panels. There, that was a bit faster this time. And just like that, all the side panel pieces were taped up.
Okay guys, it's been 24 hours. Let's see if the veneer looks any good. I hope it worked, because if it didn't, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's really flat over here.
And the tape took long to put on and also long to peel away. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out on the top. It's pretty flat. Now let's do the other drawers.
Second drawer, all clamped. Done. Number 3, top drawer.
So now let's talk about the top. I'm picking up some walnut lumber here, and we are going to build a new top. This is a pretty nice 3/4 inch walnut board here for the top. My plan is to measure and cut out 3 pieces here that we will glue up together. Along with the veneer, lumber, and clamps, I spent a few extra dollars on this project. But hey, I'm learning lots, and that's the main thing. As I said earlier, I was not going to strip the back, so I just scuff sanded, removed most along the edges, and now we are just going to paint the back here. I have this almost black, it's like a gray kind of color, and I painted the inside for sanitary reasons and the back to make it look a bit nicer. Now I'll sand with 100 grit. Although I didn't record a lot of it, I had to rub off this sticky residue from the tape and glue for like an hour all over the piece, and then I could finally sand. I used 180 with the oscillating tool sander and then 220 by hand because I didn't want to burn through this veneer. It's really, really thin. Then after sanding, I started staining right away. I'm using antique walnut gel stain. I tried by hand and I wasn't very good at it, so I started taping each of the squares. The reason I'm not adding gel stain to the walnut burl veneer is that it would basically go black and it didn't look nice, so I'm just staining the regular walnut squares and then I'll be finishing over the walnut burl so it's not as dark. It looks a lot nicer. And here's to my shop vac foreshadowing earlier. So yesterday, my other shop vac broke. I just picked up a new one. This is the DeWalt Stealth Sonic, so it's actually really quiet for a vacuum, which is pretty sweet. Slowed me down though yesterday with that one broken, so I'm pushed back another day. Let's get some sanding done so we can stain the body and get the sides on it. So let's get to work. I sanded the body up to 150, and now we are going to apply the veneer pattern on the recessed boards on the sides. It's the next day and I'm hoping this worked.
Both really bumpy.
So it's almost as if the veneer expanded and folded up, and also the clamping pressure wasn't flat enough.
So after removing the clamps, we definitely have some bubbling on the sides here. I think the panel is warped inside, so when you clamp down a flat piece, it wasn't clamping down everywhere, so it didn't touch. So we have a handful of bubbles. I'm gonna fix the main ones, the large ones in the middle here, and we should be good. I'm just gonna use this glue needle syringe and just put it in the cracks here, and then we're gonna clamp it down again, more focused on the center. And we'll do our best here to make it look as good as possible. Okay guys, moment of truth, see if this flattened at all. Oh yeah, it's actually flat. Let's go, sweet. Oh yeah, look at that, it's actually flat. Sweet. We have some glue spill, but minor. Moment of truth again. Okay, it's way better. Way better. Way better. Been 24 hours and the glue's still damp just in that area, but I'm gonna wipe it up and then just clamp it again until it dries. Right, but it looks way better. You can tell it's actually flat throughout.
And now we try again and hopefully learn a little from our mistakes.
That's too much. I'm gonna call this Jamie rigged. This thing is definitely Jamie rigged up. I try to get as much pressure starting in the middle and pushing outwards so we don't get the weird bubble in the middle of where the veneer connects.
So now I'm just back in my apartment and I am prepping some shellac flakes for the next day.
This is shellac. I dissolved flakes last night with methyl hydrate. Can't find denatured alcohol anywhere here, so dissolved it in that, did the trick, and now I'm going to do 2 coats of shellac. I find it looks nicest on the burl. The burl goes really dark, so shellac seemed to be the nicest one. 2 coats of shellac, and then we're going to do 2 coats or 4 or 5 coats of lacquer on top of it, so that'll be nice. Let's do that. Okay, I have 2 coats of shellac on. This one's dried now. I'm going to sand it with 600 grit sandpaper and then do another coat of shellac. So. Coat 3.
This side ended up being much better, but there were still a few bubbles, and I just filled them in with CA glue, and it was a much faster process. Around the edges, I thought it would look a lot cleaner if I just went around with a walnut wood filler. I just think it would make the lines look much fresher. I didn't know if we'd ever make it here, but it's finally time to stain these walnut squares. And I did 3 coats of shellac on the side panels as well. And then I started sanding the top, as the board where it was glued up had some uneven spots, so I had to sand this a lot with 100, and then I went all the way up slowly to 220. For the top, I'm mixing some antique walnut and a tiny bit of Kona gel stain.
Every now and then, your sanding pad should be replaced. This one's been on for a while, so it's leaving sanding marks. And once you notice that, it's good to throw a new one on. So let's do that now.
Finally, I sanded the body with 180 grit and 220 grit, and it was ready for stain. Initially, I stained it with antique walnut mixed with Kona gel stain, and it was just too light. It didn't match the top or the drawers nicely, so then I added just a solid coat of Kona gel stain, which is a darker color, and then wiped it off, and it matched really nice after that. Usually I already would have scraped the paint away from these joints, but earlier I was just sick and tired of the paint, and two, I didn't know if this project was going to work out. So now I'm just going to be filling the gaps with Bondo, and we are just going to color over these and hide them up as best as we can. I started the base coat with the same color stain as the top, and then I throw on some shellac later to do a thicker coat because this gel stain just wasn't covering it up enough. This is the shellac, and I have the Mohawk Blendle powder stains mixed with it, and it covers it up nicely. And I also use it on the broken leg piece here as well. Now I'm just cutting up some plywood to make some new drawer panels. I marked 7 spots for 7 pilot holes. And finally, after all that hard work, let's take a look at this piece one more time before. And finally, here is what it looks like after. If you're not part of the Furniture Squad community, make sure you join today so you can connect with like-minded furniture refinishers, get your questions answered, plus you get access to the classroom bonus content. See you in there.
Definitely has like some texture on the sides more than the drawers, but you really can't tell. Like that one's pretty flat. This one definitely has more glue under it, so there's a bit of texture, but you know, if you step back, it looks pretty cool. So here's that crack that I filled with the wood epoxy, but I filled these cracks with regular wood filler, and the way they took stain actually looks pretty cool, but it really helped make the epoxy crack look a little more natural when you look at the entire side. So I kind of like how it ended up working out.
Thanks to everyone who stuck around and watched the full process. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like my videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on my future projects. Thanks, and I hope to see you in the next one.